I want to play for you guys what Mayor Frey said on Thursday when he was addressing the mayor's conference about what's going on in his city.
You know, I didn't take this job to get into the business of defending democracy. I did it because being a mayor has always been my dream job. There's great honor in filling potholes. It is noble to keep people safe and to build affordable housing. That work which we do every single day is foundational to the principles of our republic, and all the same, we find ourselves in a different position right now. We are on the front lines of a very important battle, and it's important that we aren't silenced, that we aren't put down. This is not a time to bend our heads in despair or out of fear that we may be next, because if we do not speak up, if we do not step out, it will be your city that is next.
Mayor Gloria, does that message from Mayor Frey resonate?
Absolutely. I love my job. I'm a third-generation San Diegan. It's my dream come true to lead my hometown. And I did get into it for the same reasons he mentioned. I think infrastructure is sexy. I love working on housing issues and whatnot.
Where to put the trash cans?
That also, another time, another show.
I too am very passionate about trash cans. Good.
But it does resonate what he's saying, because we've had to lead during a pandemic, increasing these nationalized issues that are being brought to mayors. And I hope that the role that we can play, particularly through the conference, is bringing a practical, apolitical approach to these issues. And I think that's what's frustrating about what is happening, is not only is there all this chaos in our communities at a time when mayors have worked hard to drive down crime rates in our cities, but we also don't see any discussion of the actual solution to our immigration problems, which is a comprehensive solution that would change the policies such that we don't have the need for undocumented folks, that they can find a way into this country that's legal and sanctioned. So I hear what he's saying, and I think one of the things about being mayor is that you're often the personification of your city. And I think in this moment, Mayor Frey has had to give voice to the frustrations and the anger and whatnot. And by doing so, I'd like to think that he's helped to maintain what is already a very volatile situation. I think when we can express how our people are feeling, it's one way to help try and keep the peace and move things forward. And there are some indications things are getting better there, and I'm hopeful we stand with him and support him in the way that we would support all of our member mayors.
Yeah, Mayor Holt, you spoke to my colleagues over at Politico, and you said we're all sort of feeling the angst of our residents and the fear that our city will be next, and that chaos is going to inevitably creep across the entire country. Tell me more about that.
Well, I think that's a reference, obviously, to this sort of unprecedented strategy and the tactics that are being used in Minneapolis. And maybe to provide a greater context, I remind people of a very simple history that's not, all that unusual, not all that forgotten. But we have been enforcing in this country immigration laws for over a century. ICE has been around for over 20 years. But this is the first time that it has led to the enforcement in our cities has led to this type of turmoil. And so, what we want to see is, I don't think anybody really expects or thinks that we shouldn't have immigration enforcement in this country. What we want is a professional law enforcement operation that's collaborating with and communicating with local police, and is using best practices. All of the things that we've learned in recent decades about law enforcement have been thrown out the window in Minneapolis. We had great comments from one of our colleagues who was a police chief but is now mayor of Fresno, Jerry Dyer, and he was saying, I haven't seen, he's watching these videos of what's happening. He's like, I haven't seen police act like that in 30 years. That's not what we learned, not to do that kind of stuff a long time ago. But the federal law enforcement agency, ICE, is giving sort of all local law enforcement around the country a bad name. So we're just seeing all that, and we're thinking, if that, how long is this going to go on? Is it going to eventually spread to all our cities? And that's the sentiment, I think, expressed in that comment.
To that point, you're a Republican, you're in a red state, supportive of law enforcement. But in this moment, what is your message to the administration?
It's that again, there's always people at the extremes, but the vast majority of Americans understand there has to be immigration enforcement in this country. We want to get back to some level of normality in how that is done. And that's not necessarily comment on the numbers or all of that kind of thing, but this isn't it. And I'm not an expert in immigration law enforcement, nor am I an expert in law enforcement. As mayors, we're sort of just jack of all trades, master of none. But I know that, and we all know, really all Americans at this point know that what we're witnessing in Minneapolis, that isn't it. So try something else, take a pause, create a new strategy. And I understand that the overall goals in many ways of this administration on immigration enforcement are not going to dramatically shift, but the tactics, the way it's being done in Minneapolis is absolute chaos, and it's literally like tearing. Actually, I hate the overuse of literally. It's not literally tearing our country apart, but it is tearing.
Figuratively tearing our country apart.
Figuratively tearing our country apart.
Mayor Gloria,